Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. My name is Liz. I am running Afterlife Wandering Souls for the Gauntlet. I'm the creator of Afterlife Wandering Souls, and it is coming to Kickstarter on the 1st of May. Now, I would like to introduce you to my awesome cast of players, and I'm going to pick on people in the order in which I see them on my screen. So, unfortunately, David, you are first. Can you introduce yourself?
Certainly. Hi, everyone. My name is David. I use he, him pronouns. I'm based in Sheffield in the UK, and I'm looking forward to playing this evening.
And then there is Linda.
Hi, I'm Linda. I use they, them, or she, her pronouns, and I am in the United States, right next to New York City.
And Yoshi.
Hi, I'm Yoshi. I'm based in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I use he, him pronouns.
Awesome. So we are just going to hop right into it and talk about everyone's characters because you are all actually members of a crew. And that means that when you traveled from the world of the living to the world of the dead, you took the same boat ride with one another. So as you were losing all your memories, you kind of were in the same boat. And then you decided to travel with one another because the Tenebris is, well, bright and full of terrors. So it's always good to have some friends at your side. I am going to ask you a little bit about some of your memories because you've been wanderers for a while, so maybe you've gone into a few realms and you've retrieved a few memories, and each of you actually have a memory that you have retrieved, and you remember something about your mortal life. And I would actually like to know a little bit about that memory, what happened and what that told you about yourself. And I would like to, actually, I'm going to go in reverse order this time. Yoshi, you are playing the awesome Echo.
Yeah, so I'm playing Echo, who uses they, them pronouns. I imagine Echo to be somebody like in their late teens, early 20s. Maybe it's hard to tell exactly what their age is. They don't have a lot of gender signifiers to them. They're a little bit androgynous. They have longer hair, but it's always like tied back in like a ponytail. I'm thinking like long black hair. And so it's never like down around their shoulders. It's always sort of like functional and pulled back out of the way type thing. And that kind of gives you like an idea of like how they approach a lot of things, is sort of like practical and aware of the situation and kind of like assessing things and doing things. As far as like the clothing that they wear is very generic and like simple and plain. So like they might be wearing like just plain, like unadorned, not fancy workman type things that has that type of like look to them. So I think the memory that I have is I was in a city and I sought the darkest place. So for me, I think this is, I was in a city when there was a disaster that happened, like some like explosion or something big that happened. And I think what it was is I went around trying to seek safety and refuge from the chaos that's going on, and so found like a tucked away out of the way place that seemed to be sort of like a quieter, safe place from the chaos that was going out. And I think in that place, I found other people. I think it was a bunch of like children who were running from similar disaster, just trying to seek something safe and out of the way and not get trampled, not to get taken over. And I think we kind of hung out in that dark space away from the chaos, keeping each other company.
That's cool. What happened to the kids after the disaster?
I think we hung out for a couple of hours, just trying to keep each other company and keep our minds off of what's going on. I think together, almost like reminiscence of what we're doing now, is we were in a situation we didn't quite understand, and we worked together to go around and kind of seek the people that we wanted to find. So it was, we walked together and we would drop off one person at a place that they needed to go, and so on to the different places wherever that was.
What's like, who is one of the kids that you still kept in contact with? Like, what's their name and why did you keep in contact with them? Like, why do you remember them so well still?
I'm going to steal a name from a character we're not using, and I'm going to name them Quinn. And I think I kept in contact with Quinn. Why? I think the reason why I kept in contact with Quinn was she was the last person who we were going to as we were wandering through. So I was talking with her the most. Like, it was the two of us left. I didn't have anywhere to go. And when we finally got to like dropping her off, we found out that she didn't have anywhere to go either. Her family, who she was going back to, they were lost in the explosion. And so I think she and me kept together for a little while and stuck it out until we could find someplace else for her. So I think we spent more time together. I think we became friends. I think she relied on me, and I didn't have anywhere I had to go. And so I started to rely on her.
Nice. I like that. That's very cool. I am then going to go over to Linda, who is my monkey in the middle. Tell me a little bit about Gauntlet. What do they look like?
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. There's something happening behind me. Hopefully it'll be okay. Grayson, I think, is a young, I want to say like 40s, maybe 30, 35, but kind of up there. They are tall and slender, and I think that they're dressed all in black, but an interesting thing is that they have a lot of scarves and veils that are sort of like wrapped around their arms and body, and it sort of like always kind of like floats out away from them. So it's like a weird tattered cape that's just like constantly moving as they walk. And it's not really a costume that could be found anywhere in history, but it all like the little scarves and pieces of silk and like ribbons all have markings on them and stains, but they're all dark colored. Like, they're all gray or black or a dark blue, no browns or dark greens, but definitely like blues and purples and blacks and grays, and that's sort of how they're dressed. And it looks very, like, it looks a little mythical in a lot of ways. And they have like long black hair that's braided and just like kept in a very tight braid. And they have like a veil covering half their face. And I think that they're also wearing a mask. And I don't know what the exact name of the mask is, but I'm imagining it's one of those metal Bedouin masks that's just like on, it doesn't really hide a lot of their features, but it's very ornamental, and it has like a bar over the forehead and then a bar straight down and then just like a small covering over like the nose and top of the mouth kind of thing.
Cool.
Sorry about that, guys. Let me, here's a cool photo that I will share in the chat.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about Grayson's memory.
All right. So Grayson's memory is, I found a gift from someone else I thought was lost. I'm gonna say that I think that it's less of an immediate, like, I don't think it's necessarily a gift for them or a gift for any like one person. I think that there was a library, and this library was a gift to the people of this where they lived, and for hundreds of thousands of years it was lost. It was a lost library, and Grayson found it.
How did Grayson find it?
I think Grayson found it when they were I'm gonna say they were traveling somehow. They were traveling. I don't know if it was by choice or if they had to do it for a job or if they were just traveling to like go visit a place. But they saw a mirage in the distance, like a desert. It was like a desert kind of area. And Grayson saw a mirage in the distance. And as they walked towards it, they realized it was like a dip in the sands. And as Grayson like went into this like under dune, basically, all the sand started sinking in, and they stumbled upon this library.
Okay. Interesting. Obviously this library is very meaningful to Grayson because they found it. But what's something that they either they took or they treasured from the library? Like, what's the one thing that they found that they were like, oh my goodness, this is me. This is it.
They found a map. And
Ooh.
I think, yeah, they found a map. And I think that they found a map that showed a civilization that, again, was thought to be kind of like mythic.
Mm-hmm.
So, and whether it was a map to like the land of weak water in like Chinese mythology, or like maybe the land of the Amazons, or maybe Atlantis, or land of like the sky from Native American ideologies. Like it's a map to someplace mythic, like incredible in a weird way.
Awesome. Very cool. Thank you very much. And I am finally going to David. Tell me a little bit about what Harper looks like.
Certainly, Harper is probably not hugely tall, about average height or so. She has, again, long dark hair, which she tends to wear up in a fairly neat bun at the back of her head. She has she wears like a sort of a dark, a light, well, sorry, I should say light as in fabric, black coat with sort of flared sleeves, quite loose and flowing, and similar black trousers of the same sort of material, again quite loose and flowing with slightly flared cuffs on that. Pointed black patent boots underneath. It sort of looks almost halfway between a sort of modern business suit and sort of almost like a kind of Chinese, courtly outfit, that sort of thing. She has slung over her back what looks like a quiver with feathers sticking out of it, though she does not apparently carry a bow with her. She almost looks like it. She's got that kind of something about her, almost looks slightly almost like she's monochrome, almost, when you get that effect on someone, they're just sort of in really bright light and it just washes all the color out of them. It's just sort of got that's how she looks.
And tell me a little bit about what she's like. I mean, is the monochromaticismness also kind of going with her personality, or is it completely different? Or
I think she can be quite severe and quite quite standoffish at times. Well, not standoffish, but she's not a warm person, I'd say.
All right. Well, speaking of not being a very warm person, Harper, can you please tell me about the memory you have?
Certainly. The memory I have is that I stole something to punish someone. So I think the memory that Harper carries with her is she's back in the real world, working in an office at a computer. She's got sort of the spreadsheet open in front of her with columns and columns of figures and the like. And she is working for a large company owned by a man who I'll call Mr. Rook, who is kind of a sort of, robber baron type businessman. And I think for a period of time now, she has been embezzling money from his company and essentially channeling it towards various charitable organizations and the like.
Has she kept any of it for herself, or is it all going to the charities?
I think she's maybe kept a little for herself, more as an insurance policy than
A golden parachute?
yeah.
What type of charities is she giving money to, actually?
I think it's various sorts, really. Sort of some children's charities, some sort of homeless charities. Specifically, it's sort of stuff that's sort of supposed to be kind of improving people's lives in sort of more impoverished areas.
Okay. What's the one charity that she really connects to? You know what I mean? Like, is it a children's charity because it reminds her of her sister, or like?
I think it is a charity that is supporting some of the that's doing some kind of cleanup operation after a big kind of industrial accident that she knows her company was responsible for.
Oh, okay. And after an industrial accident.
And that was probably the sort of event that kind of finally soured her on the company she was working for.
Okay, cool. I like that. All right. Well, thank you everyone for telling me about your characters. We are going to start now. So, as wanderers, as I have explained to you off screen, you must go into different planes of existence, and these are called limbos. And what you do in these different planes of existence is you quest. So you go in and you try to affect some change or help someone. And the reason that you do this is because, well, it would get rather boring going in and out of strange places, looking for memories without talking to anyone or doing anything. Because basically in these limbos, you can taste the beyond. You can taste something that comes after the afterlife, whether that's just death, whether that's a final resting place, whether that is some sort of a kind of higher place or even lower place, depending on what you think about your character. But you can taste it and it's delicious to you. And this palpable feeling in these limbos makes you go in there and have the ability to find memories of your past life, because it's just so strong. The call to the beyond and the call to kind of finding out who you are is so strong there. So that is actually where we are going to go today, because your wanderers have heard of a limbo called the Drowned Lands. And in fact, you have paid a mighty price for information about the Drowned Lands. Perhaps you paid it to another crew. And they have given you information about where to find the entrance of this limbo in the vast desert of the Tenebris. And so you travel to the entrance. And when you get to at least the position you should be in, you're all looking around. The only thing you see in front of you is about a 3-meter wide, craggy, black pool. The water doesn't move at all, and when you look down into the water, it's just black and dark. And even though it's bright, bright, bright light all around you, you're in an endless desert, and it's always scorchingly bright, you see nothing, just dark, deep blackness.
So no even like reflection off the surface.
No.
So does it look more like a pit, or how do I tell that there's like a pool of water or something there, opposed to like just it going down forever like a pit? Because like if you've looked at Vance of Black, it looks like it's empty rather than there's actually something there.
I mean, that's a good question. I would say, besides for the fact that you've been told go to a pool of water, it does just look like a pit. It does look like you could just keep falling forever and ever.
Cool. So like this is like since we're in a desert, I want to like maybe like pick up like some sand or something, like if there's a stick or something like around, like, and like swirl it into the pit and see like, is it sticky, is it slick, does it just go down, is there like a barrier that like the whatever it goes and passes and then disappears, like that type of stuff.
All right, so you pick up some sand, I would say, because there's a lot of it. There is an abundance of sand. Unless you want to take something valuable out of your pack and chuck it. Okay, fine. Shake your head. Shake your head like that's a bad idea. You grab up some sand and you basically kind of sprinkle it in a circle over the pit. You see, and at this point you do see the water ripple for a second, basically as you're pouring the sand in. And then the sand falls down into the pit and just disappears. The moment it reaches the water and you see like a ripple, it's gone.
I think Grayson is going to go over, and is there like maybe there's a tree, like a dead tree with sticks, or like a larger rock hanging around?
Yeah, I said there was like, it was kind of craggy around, so like I think there's probably some boulders around the pit pool. Pit pool. Around the pit pool.
I love the pit pool. Yeah, it's a new thing all the skateboarders are doing. Pit pools. So Grayson's gonna go over and they will find a rock and crouch down, and they're gonna take one of their like scarves and ribbons, and they're gonna tie it around the rock. And then they're going to like sort of go fishing for clues, I guess. So they're just gonna like toss the rock in and hold the scarf, and then try and like pull it back out and see what happens.
All right, you do said plan.
Neat.
And you toss the rock in.
Rad.
And it disappears basically. And you see larger ripples now in the pool. You see it disappear, and you're kind of holding on to like your taut scarf. And then you feel something tugging downward. You let go?
Yeah, immediately.
Okay. In that case, the scarf disappears into the pool of water, the pit pool.
Grayson sort of stands up and thinking that there's going to be like a giant octopus coming out or whatever, sort of like takes a few steps back and like looks over at Harper and Echo and just sort of shrugs and is like, I think there's something down there.
Well, I suspect that means that either this is somewhere we very much want to be, or somewhere we very much don't.
Well, I'm glad we've got it narrowed down. Anyone want to go first?
kind of like look to the both of you, and Liz, just to be clear, like we feel like a pull from there, like that there's something behind this pool, because you were saying that like we feel some sort of like mental tug to different places.
Yeah, you do. The thing is that you don't, you can't sense it. You guys have been to a couple of limbos. One's been completely hellish, fire and brimstone. One's been awesome. It was made out of jelly, and there were gummy bears that you spoke to, and it was just a good time all around. Each one you felt this familiar tug that you want to go there, but both of them were, horrifying and awesome, depending on your preferences. So yeah, you do feel a tug.
I just kind of like look to both of you and shrug. I'm like, I mean, I'll go, but I feel the tug there. I know there's something there for me, for us.
And I suppose at the end of the day, what's the worst that can happen?
I'm pretty sure you don't want to ask that question. And Grayson goes over and I think they stick their hand in.
All right. You stick your hand in. You all see it disappear up to, I guess, the wrist, I would say. That's how far you're sticking it in.
Yeah. And they're like, oh.
You kind of, and then, you feel something come up to your hand and kind of tickle against your fingertip.
Grayson wants to grab a hold of it and try and pull it out.
You grab a hold of it, and it grabs you and tries to pull you down.
Okay, Grayson holds their hand back and is like, okay, guys, come on. I got something on the line.
Grayson, I think I'd like a check from you to stop you from just completely falling into this pool right now, please.
Cool. What would you like me to roll?
Well, you can choose your approach. So whether you're gonna I would say dexterity is probably trying to wriggle away from it, and strength is probably trying to, like you said, yank it out, or just maintain where you are.
Yeah, I think strength, because I like sort of tying back to their sword approach. They want to do things head on, and Grayson ain't scared of shit. So we're gonna roll. So Grayson has a 3 in body and a 1 in strength, so that's 4d6.
Yep.
All right.
And the challenge is 2. It's an average challenge, and you seem to be taking a good approach.
Yeah, except not rolling real well.
Ooh, okay. Do you want to spend any concept points to make that a success, or do you want to deal with the consequences?
I think we're early enough. I'll deal with it. What's hit me with it?
You get pulled into
wait.
the. Oh,
is anyone helping me out? Helping me try to pull them out? Is that technically mechanically allowed?
They can assist you, but normally they should say that before you make the check. So I'll say next time you guys can do that. Teamwork makes the dream work, but this time you're getting yanked down into the pool.
What does it feel like?
What does it feel like? Well, you can mark experience, by the way, in your body. You can mark on experience. You get pulled down into the inky blackness. And when you have your head underwater, and when you're a kid and you're trying to just stay underwater for as long as possible, and you start getting that tightness in your throat, that doesn't take a minute. That instantaneously happens the moment you get pulled down. All of a sudden, your entire body is screaming, like it wants to get out. But this thing that has this vice grip on you is just pulling you further and further and further downwards. I will tell you what happens to your character, but first, I'm going to move on to the other two who just saw their crew member disappear. You just saw them hey, I have something, and then whoop.
I think I just literally just jump in afterwards. As soon as like I see Grayson go down, I just kind of like turn and look at Harper and sort of do like a little like half shrug, and then just like kind of do like a half skip and jump like feet first into the pool.
Yeah, Harper will sort of nod as you do that. She'll take a deep breath. I don't actually know if we breathe anymore, but you know, instinct. And she sort of executes a little dive into the pool.
Cool. Well, actually, like you as wanderers, besides for being immortal, but you can get bodily harm and die, obviously. You have all the normal bodily functions of a human. So you eat, you sleep, you need to breathe and things like that. So you both jump in. You get the same sensation, but you're in a bit of a better situation than our dear Grayson. Because what you all see once you kind of not deal with the pain, but once the pain is over with, let's put it that way, you actually realize that there is some depth and light to this water. And that is what you echo, you and Harper, you experience, because actually what you see is that Grayson is grabbed by this creature. The creature is Linda called it. The creature, though, it isn't a tentacly creature, don't worry. It has the top half of a woman and the bottom half of a long serpentine creature. If some of you are familiar with popular lore, you would call it a mermaid, but it's the mermaid of your nightmares. Her hair basically is made of this kind of dark black kelp. And she has barnacles all over her kind of molten skin. And you see her entire mouth is filled with like 2 sets of sharp, jagged teeth. And she has these kind of black orbs as eyes. And she's basically grabbed onto Grayson. And I guess Grayson is struggling at this point. By the way, you all also, like, in terms of the pain ends, but you're still underwater. So think of, like, you know, you probably have a minute or two and then you need to surface at one point. That is what you all take in. What would you like to do?
So the first thing I do is kind of look around, since I know I'm underwater, look for where the surface is, and like where I need to go to get some air, and like how viscous is this water? Does it just feel like water that I'm used to, like if I were swimming in a lake or an ocean or something like that?
It's, you can see, like, the thing is, it's a bit of murky water. So like you can see a couple meters in front of you, which is why you're able to see Grayson, because it's like the violence is kind of happening in front of you. And you do see light also, at least like you're able to see light. So you think the light must also be some meters away from you. And it's a little bit swampy and murky water. It's gonna be more difficult to move underwater, because I'm assuming little do you know, but none of you were professional athletes.
I was definitely
professional swimmers.
I was not anticipating myself being a professional swimmer as my character concept. I think what I'll do, like seeing the direction, is I think I will try to like swim up towards like the water, like, or to the surface area, and just try to keep track of where Grayson is, because for me it's sort of that you can't help somebody else if you're dying yourself. So figure out how the safe exit is and then come back for Grayson type thing.
Okay. You swim up and you are able to basically, you breach the horizon of the water. And you kind of get up. It takes your eyes a moment to adjust, because the light isn't very bright, but you're just kind of coming from water and there's swamp gook in your eyes. And you see, indeed, you look around and you see kind of like these tall, like trees, like these kind of mangrove trees, and everything's dark and green. It looks as if you're in a swamp.
Yeah.
Harper, what are you doing?
I think I am going to try and follow this. Well, let's call it a mermaid with that's got Grayson.
Okay. She's not pulling Grayson anywhere. Right now, she just seems to be keeping Grayson in place. And actually, I think probably trying to grab the other arm of Grayson and hold her in place.
Yeah, I'm going to try and grab Grayson's free arm before she does, and start trying to drag Grayson to where to follow Echo.
Cool. That is definitely a check.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Your approach, I guess it's going to be strength, or unless you have another idea.
No, strength sounds appropriate.
Cool. So that is, you have a core of 2 and a strength of 1, so that's 3 dice. You can roll. We'll clear the original roll. There you go.
That's 1 success.
All right. Would you like to spend a point of ferocity to make that 2 successes?
I would, yep.
Cool. In that case, you just grab Grayson and pull them just as quickly as you can to the top of the water. Yeah, you swim up. You have Grayson in tow, and Grayson, you have the mermaid in tow.
Okay, great. That's totally what I want. 100% the plan. What does it look like this mermaid wants? Are they like hungry? Are they scared? Are they just like a monster?
They look fairly monstrous. I mean, in terms of like, what does this mermaid want? Right now, it looks like it wants to grab you. And it seems like it's doing a good job. Like, it seems like it wants you in the water.
Okay. Is there like anything else around us? Am I just like, or is it just like a dark thing?
Basically, at this point, you've all surfaced, and you are about, I would say, like 2 or 3 meters away from the shore. And the shore being kind of a muddy, swampy bank that you need to crawl up on. There's also large trees kind of dotting the swampy banks, which you could also go to if you wanted something definitely like stable to grab onto. And that's about 4 or 5 meters away.
Is this the same shore that we went into, or is it a different shore?
It's a different shore.
Well, that's certainly interesting. Yeah, I think Grayson's gonna keep a hold of the mermaid, the eel mermaid, as much as the eel mermaid is keeping a hold of them, and they will let go of Echo, or yeah, Harper. Sorry, they'll let go of Harper and try to like swim to shore, dragging the mermaid with them.
Are you trying to chuck this mermaid on shore?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like a check for that.
What kind of check would you like?
I mean, I would still argue this is probably a strength, unless you want to go at it a different way.
Strength is good for me.
I'm gonna say though, because you are like trying to chuck an entire like creature onto shore, that it's it's a challenge of 3 rather than 2, because it's not the easiest thing to do, right? So like you have to wrestle with like the murky shore, and then you have to like drag her up on there.
Yes. Yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a big ordeal.
It is a big ordeal.
All right, let's do it.
But before you roll,
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, before I roll.
I was gonna say before your roll, if you want some help, I would happily like come along and maybe grab the other hand of the mermaid, and so that we could swim together towards the edge, and that way there'd be 2 of us working together to try to throw the mermaid ashore.
The way teamwork works basically is you'll give her you'll give Linda a +1 dice to the check, and if it's still not a success, you both take the consequences rather than one person taking the consequence.
Fantastic. I will suffer consequences with you.
Excellent.
Right.
In that case, you get a +1 die, so you have a pool of 5 die. Do you want to use anything else, Linda?
No, I will not be using. Well, this is like a jet black, shadowy pool, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, like you've gone through, and now it's kind of like swampy, murky water type thing.
So it's not necessarily the kind of like color of pitch that it was when we first saw it.
No, the darkness and the pain dissipated.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, then that idea won't work. Yeah, that's it. Just 5. Just 5.
Sounds good.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. So I get 5d6. Woo!
There you go. 3 successes.
Heck yeah.
All right. So you both swim to shore. You chuck said mermaid onto shore.
You bet.
You're both on there. As you kind of like, you both like with one hand, you crawl onto the shore. Like, you lose your hands a couple times because they're just like grabbing into like this thick layer of like silt and gunk. But you manage to just kind of like with one heaving throw, like almost slide her onto shore. And she slides backwards basically, and she starts thrashing and hissing. Her tail is whipping back and forth. Like her tail is doubly as long as her torso. Like it's kind of this giantly long tail. And she gets on both hands and she starts hissing at you, at the both of you, and crawling towards you. Like Echo, you're still in the water. Oh, sorry, not Echo. Harper, you're still in the water.
Yeah, I think seeing this, I'm going to swim towards the shore as well, and kind of struggle up onto the shore, trying to shake some of the mud and water off of me.
Yeah, you swim to shore. Like you don't have a mermaid in tow, so like you're swimming, albeit like awkward swamp swimming is fine. The moment you get to shore, you see that she's kind of gotten closer to your crewmates, and you all hear her kind of like whisper in this kind of guttural, gross tone. You know what I mean? She has this very like throaty, angry voice. You hear her kind of grit, and she says, "Trespassers." She hisses at you.
Yes, we're trespassing at the moment. We have felt a pull here, but there's something here that is calling to us. Do you know what that could be?
All right, so you're just gonna straight up ask your question. She is not very calm at the moment. I didn't read you trying to calm her. Is that correct? I was like, no, you're just gonna straight up ask questions. All right, you say that to her, and then the second thing she hisses in reply to like, do you know what that call could be? she basically just kind of like her eyes go wide and you almost like see your reflection in them. And she growls murderers and she basically takes her arm and she tries to claw at you.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to like back away and like with how ferocious she is, it's gonna be like the sort of like back away, dodge, and put my hands up. I'm like I don't want to hurt you, like in response to this is like, and I think this is where like the calming might come down. It's like I'm happy to leave here as soon as we figure out what it is that's like calling us here. But I didn't murder anybody here, and if there is something that did murder somebody, maybe we can help you find that person or that thing.
All right. So are you like, as your main action, are you trying to dodge or are you trying to calm? Oh, you're muted, dude.
I think I'm trying to calm. So like if it means taking a blow, that means I'll take a blow.
Okay. Well, I'd like you to make a check for the calming. I would argue it's probably an empathy. You're welcome to. All right. So that's pool of one there, friend.
Yep.
Is there anything you would like to use? For example, your talent is to heal ailments of the soul. You haven't defined that yet. You also still have your shield as well, which you could like maybe take a couple blows or something before.
Yeah. I don't have a good idea of what my shield physically is and how that takes the blows. I mean, because you're saying that the boatman literally gives us like a shield or a bow and a sword type thing.
They basically kind of give you a ball of light and your soul forms it into something, which is the rough approximation of a sword, a shield, or a bow. But it doesn't have to, like, the shield doesn't have to look like a traditional medieval shield. It could also be like a wash of energy or something. It shapes itself to you when it gets to you, basically.
Yeah. I think what I've been thinking of for the talent, I don't think quite fits for what my idea was yet for this. So I'm not going to use that.
Cool.
The shield, I think maybe like the shield for me, it's I'll try to leverage that a bit, is that I think it's more like it's not something that I carry, but it's something like it's part of like the clothes that are around me. So it's sort of like armor in that sense, where it's more like I'm wearing like very durable, plain, simple clothing. And I think that that's what it is that maybe I take some of those blows and like they leave scratches. Like if this were like leather armor, you could see like the scratches maybe are in there, but like it maybe stops some of like the damage that comes through.
Okay, that sounds cool. Like, I'm happy for you to use your approach basically to kind of get, you're just trying to get through what you want to say. So that's 2 dice.
Cool. I will do that. Does anyone want to help me?
Like, no, dude, you tackle the mermaid. She's going to rip you to shreds.
So I have an idea for Grayson's approach that might be a way to help Echo here.
Okay.
So I sort of imagine that, like, so Grayson, I've sort of described them as like being covered in like ribbons and scarves and all of this other like ephemera that just sort of like floats around. I'm gonna say that like there's a part of the sword part is that they can like control these scarves and stuff that just like are coming off them, and I want to sort of use those scarves to help restrain Eel Lady.
Okay, so your sword is actually these kind of sentient scarves that you can move, basically. Cool. Sounds good. You're aiding then, so then Yoshi, you can get a +1, and then you both take consequences. Consequences if the roll fails. The roll.
Hi. I got 2 successes, so
Fine. You all you take a couple of blows, Echo, but indeed your suit kind of absorbs them, and Grayson, you're also holding them back a bit, so they're not. She has kind of these webbed clawed hands, they're not as vicious as they could have been. But actually, the fact that you can take those blows, Echo, and a little bit of what you're saying too, that just basically you're there to help. The creature seems to have some type of innate respect for that, just the physical presence of being able to be beaten a couple of times. And she calms down. At least she calms down to the point where she stops struggling, but still looks highly perturbed at your presences.
And so I'll follow up with the immediate, it sounds like there's been trespassers before here, and maybe you could help us help you by letting us know who these other things are or what has happened, and maybe we can help with that.
She narrows her eyes at you, and she says, I was to search for the 2 legs. And she continues, and she says, Lehman told me to search for the 2 legs. You have. And she looks at you and she says, no fins. And she kind of looks at your legs, and she says, those roots are legs, are they not?
And I just nod, and I'm like, yes, I have 2 legs. We all have 2 legs. Where is this? Lehman said to search for them. You found us, or at least we do have matched that description. What can we do to help you now?
She says, you must speak to Lehman.
And I just nod, and I turn to the other 2.
Well, that seems perfectly fair. If we are in their lands, then let us speak with them.
All right, you she looks at you for a second. She looks at all of you, and she I think, who's closest? Well, the both of you are closest, right? I think Echo, at this point, she probably thinks that you're the least squishy of everyone. She reaches towards you. Do you let her?
Yeah. I'll at this point, since she's calmed down, I'll let her grab me or touch my arm or whatever she's doing.
She reaches towards your neck, and basically, one of her claws kind of runs backwards upside your neck, and she looks at you and she says, can you breathe? And then she points to the water.
And I shake my head. I'm like, no, that's why we came to the surface as quickly as we could.
She makes a face, basically, and she says, wait. And she goes into the water at this point, and she dips her head underneath for a second, and you see some ripples going across on the water. And she comes back up and she just stares at all of you, and a couple of minutes pass or so, unless you have any questions. She seems pointedly waiting, and she doesn't want to let you out of her sight, so she's just there glaring at all of you from the water. And at one point you see another person kind of pop up, and this person, it's another woman. And she takes her hand and she runs it over the other, like the woman's face who was watching you for a second, and the woman does the same thing. And she turns to you and she says, like the woman who just came up, she says, "You cannot breathe."
No, I shake my head.
Not underwater, no.
And she says, "Come," and she sort of puts a pointed claw towards you.
I go forward.
Okay, you go in the water. I see a face, Luna. You're making a face.
Yeah. Grayson just worked real hard to get out of the water. And now they're being asked to go back in the water. And they're not too keen on that. So has Echo already like jumped back in?
I'm walking towards them, so
Okay. Great.
I'm assuming that something is going to happen at the shore before like I go all the way into the water. So like I'm assuming there's going to be some interaction at the edge.
Sure. Yeah, I think Grayson wants to like look around, possibly using their awareness to try and figure out like if there's anything else around here that might be worth investigating more than going back into the death trap that is this pit of murky swamp water.
So are you like literally looking around for anything else interesting so you don't have to get in the water?
Yes, that is precisely what they're doing. They're just like, whoa, there's gotta be something around here. Whoa.
Fair. Quickly before I let you do that, Harper, what are you doing?
I think Harper is also approaching the shore, though she will let Echo take the lead.
Okay. Let Echo take the mauling. All right. In that case, please make your awareness check, Grayson, for the interesting thing.
All right. So I have 2 in mind and 1 in awareness. So that's 3.
Yeah.
All right. There we go.
The challenge is 2. You're just looking like, you know.
Oh, I failed. I only got 1.
Okay. Do you want to use a point to up that check, or do you want to leave it?
No, I'll leave it. That's fine. I was just looking around.
Okay. You can mark experience, by the way. As let's see. Oh, I know what it is. All right. So this is what happens. A little twisty twist. Let's see. My cheat sheet of names. Echo, you are heading towards the woman. The woman, indeed, she crawls a little bit up onto shore, and you see that she starts coughing something into her hand. You see kind of like this black mucus come out of her hand, and she wants to like she pulls her hand out, and she starts to like try to smear it on you. But what you notice when this happens is that as she's doing this, you see water bubbling up behind the 2 women, and you see more merfolk pop out. You see 3 of them actually, and they start engaging the women, and they start fighting. And since the 3 of you are with the women, also projectiles start coming your way. You're not sure what they are, but they're coming at you like they're sharp and they're coming at you fast. Obviously the 2 women turn to fight. Like they like the other woman like flips back into the water and they start engaging these people, but they're also things are getting chucked at you from the water.
Grayson's not dealing with that. Grayson is running away.
Okay. I would like a check from you, Grayson, because projectiles are coming at you as you're trying to run away in the swampy swampness of
Sure. Is that like a strength check? Like she's just pushing through, or is that another kind of check?
I mean, I would argue it's probably dexterity, like for
Sure.
speed and dodginess. Like if
Cool.
you want to take the best approach, I would say that's the way to go.
Sure. So I have a 3 in body and nothing in dexterity, so that's 3. Hell yeah.
Dot, what did you get?
I got
Oh,
3 successes.
All right. So you guys see Grayson legging it. What are the other two of you doing? Echo and Harper. You see these projectiles are coming at the both of you as well. Harper, I'll go for you first. You're kind of like in the distance. So I think you probably have more time to react. A little bit, tiny bit.
Yeah, so I think Harper is going to sort of run down towards the shore, but she's going to try and duck behind some of the mangrove trees that are sort of growing around the shoreline. And she's going to draw. Well, it looks like she's drawing an arrow from the quiver, but it is fletched like an arrow, but rather than being as a wooden arrow, it is just a long quill. And she's going to fling one of those at one of these new merfolk that's shown up.
Okay, so you have quills.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's interesting. And you're just going to chuck a quill.
Yeah.
Are you okay? So you kind of run and so what's your main action here? Because you're kind of doing two things. You're chucking something and you're also hiding.
Yeah.
What type of check do you want
the
to
main
make?
the main thing is probably going to be attempting to throw this quill at one of the attacking merfolk. The hiding is just the taking cover is just part of that, really. Yeah.
All right. I mean, I would argue that's a dexterity unless you have a different idea about that.
No, that sounds fair.
Cool. And then you get a +1 from your approach because you're using it. So that is 3 dice. So your quills are sharp enough to hurt somebody then.
That's right. Yep.
All right.
That's 2 successes.
Okay. In that case, yeah, you take one of your quills, and Echo, you see it flying past you in a cinematic kind of way as Harper ducks behind one of the mangroves, and it hits one of the merfolk who are in the water, and you see them kind of their ears flare for a moment, and they hiss. And they kind of fall back into the water as it stabs them in the shoulder. And they kind of weren't expecting this from you squishy no-tail creatures. So the creature kind of slinks off into the water, and there's still 2 of them in the water. Echo, what are you doing?
So I don't have anything that's gonna cause damage or anything, but I think what I'm going to do is since the water is sort of this murky gray color, I think I'm just gonna go up close, and it's almost like a little kid doing the splash fight thing. I'm just trying to cause a distraction and throw water in the face of these other merfolk that gives the 2 that are helping us an opportunity where they're slightly distracted. Maybe they're trying to protect their eyes, or they're looking at me. Just open up the opportunity for them to do something.
Okay, cool. I like that. So you're just creating a big distraction so the lady can go in and kick some ass.
Exactly.
Cool. What is your approach for that? You could do a charisma.
Could it feels, I don't know what it feels like. It feels a little bit like I'm being creative, but
yeah. I mean, you could also go for the pure you try to find something and you chuck it at somebody to kind of there's mud in my face type thing.
That's
also
true.
Yeah, it just depends how you want to approach that.
Sure. We'll like since I'm on the shore, it'll be more like slinging mud maybe at them.
Cool.
Which is probably more like dexterity then.
Yeah. So that's 3.
Cool. All right, let's do this. 3 dice. I got 1 success.
Okay. That is not enough. Do you want to add a point of ferocity, or are you going to take the...
Yeah, I'll spend a point of ferocity to create this distraction to give them something.
Okay. In that case, yeah, you chuck mud at one of the creatures and you hit them on the face enough for them to like turn and like look at you. And at that point, the woman who had earlier grabbed Grayson, she basically pulls the merfolk back by like the back of their hair, and she takes her claws and she kind of like rakes it over their neck and then like chucks it into the water. And then the two mermaids, they make short work of the final one. Basically, like once the 2 foes are gone, they're able to kind of like get their bearings and just mess with them. Awesome. I am gonna say that this is probably a good time for a break, actually. So you have all witnessed an attack. The awesome Grayson has run away, and is now some distance away from the rest of you, possibly dodging between some trees. The thing is that you don't have very far to go. I would say about like 15 meters or so, and then you're already at the next patch of water. So you get to the other side, basically. You get to the other, like where there's some trees, and then you stop and you turn around to see the fighting end. The 2 mermaids both nod to you, Echo and Harper. They don't smile or offer any thanks really in any way, but a firm nod. And the one who had offered like the gunk in her hand, she just crawls back up on shore and without saying anything coughs into her hand again. And do you both come forward again?
Yes, slightly. With some trepidation, I think this doesn't look like the most pleasant of experiences, but yeah, I will step forward.
Okay.
Grayson just sort of calls out and it's just like, guys, let's just think about this for 2 seconds. Please, let's just take a moment.
Does anyone have a reply to that, or can I gunk you?
I think I kind of like turn around to like Grayson and I just like sort of like gesture at like the vast like just swamp and nothing else around here and just like shrug and then like turn and then do sort of like the like because she wants to like smother it on my face or something, right?
Yeah.
So like yeah, then I'm just gonna like turn and like present myself sort of like I'm like with my eyes closed, like she can like wipe it over my face or like depending on what she's doing with it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like you turn to Grayson and you kind of give the shrug. And at that time, Echo, as you kind of submit, basically she takes her hand, and she rubs it down your face first, and then she takes her hand and she rubs it on either side of your neck. And you feel it like at first you think basically as she goes over the first side of your neck, and the second you almost want to stop her because you think that she scratched you. It feels as if she's like raked her claws down you, but that pain is momentary, and she does it on the other side as well. And you feel something kind of moving a little bit on the sides of your neck. And the same thing happens to you, Harper, to you, Echo, as you turn. She does the same thing, and you notice this happening you notice this happening to Harper, and you see that like basically gills form on the side of her neck. And the substance is like this kind of black mucusy substance that she rubs on the both of you. And she says, you can breathe. And she basically crawls back into the water.
You're muted, Yoshi.
I nod and I turn back to Grace and I'm like, apparently we can breathe now.
This is a very strange experience, though not entirely unpleasant. I suppose it's time to see if this works. And yeah, she's going to start walking out into the shallows of the water, of the swamp.
Okay.
Shallows in the shallow.
There's some seagulls singing. I also like get the Little Mermaid like wah, 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 behind you. All right, you wade into the water, Harper. You do dunk your head down to actually test out if it works?
That's right. Yeah.
It does. Like, it takes you a moment, right? Because you're used to breathing being from your nose and mouth, and so it takes you a moment to like, oh wait, don't breathe in, don't breathe in through your nose and mouth, and also like when you think about breathing, then you stop breathing. So it's a whole thing for a good 10 seconds, which seems longer than it should be. But at one point, you do indeed feel the gills working, and you are breathing underneath water.
I'll just put my hand above the surface of the water and do the sort of thumbs up.
Cool. Are you jumping in as well, Harper? Oh no, Quinn. No, Echo. Darn it! See, I have a cheat sheet. I literally looked at the cheat sheet and I said 2 wrong names.
I'm not doing it yet. It's sort of the like looking towards Harper's thumbs up and then towards Grayson. I'm like, come on, Grayson. Like, we're gonna go. This is the thing that hopefully we can do. Like, do you want to chill up here and we'll come back for you? Do you want to swim out there?
Oh man. Grayson goes over and is just like, y'all are freaks. And just sort of like pokes at your neck.
Yeah, and I kind of like nod. I'm like, this, I don't think that's the weirdest thing I've done. I don't think that's the weirdest thing you've done.
She just
I don't really remember everything, but
oh my god, yeah. Grayson gives you like a look, and they just sort of shake their head, and they're just like, a little bit of restraint when you tell me personal details would be super appreciated. And they just like crouch down and they like kick something into the water, whether it's like a pebble or a stick or something. And like, hey, eel lady, let's do this. Come on. Burp, burp, burp. Like just trying to like poke the beast more or less.
You do that. And the eel lady, as you have called her, turns. And she says, this one runs. This one is weak. This one does not deserve the gift.
Grayson's just gonna like roll their eyes and like sit down and just be like, all right, see ya. Have fun.
and I kind of like turn back to the mermaid and I'm like, maybe that's the case from what you've seen so far, but I've traveled with Grayson and I think that they've been helpful to me in the past, and I think if we could have them with us, it would be useful to help you with your problem.
I'd like a check, please.
Oh yeah, sure. This definitely feels like empathy. I have a total of 1 die in this. So if anybody wants to help me,
I would like to attempt to assist, and yeah, I sort of say, yeah, I think they are. I know you were defending against what you thought was some sort of attack or intrusion, but I think they are still somewhat put off by the fact that your first reaction to them was to drag them below the water and attempt to drown them. I'm sure they will get over it in time, and I'm going to kind of fix Grayson with a glare.
Oh gosh, sorry, it wasn't
All right.
muted. Yeah, Grayson is just like sitting there and just like most of their face is covered, so you can't really like read their expression very well. But I think that you guys know them well enough to know that they are just like not super thrilled about this, but letting it happen.
All right. Well, you get Echo. You get a +1 to your check, because Harper basically tried to grease the wheels a little bit as well and keep Grayson under control. Like when you pulled out that bowl, Linda, I totally just imagined like Grayson like pulling out like an energy bar and just started like chomping it on the shores as well. But go ahead, Echo, make your check.
I got 0 successes.
0 successes, and you don't have
I do not have enough points to spend.
No, I think, you know what?
I can do something. I can once per session I can give a crewmate a +1 to one of their concept pools.
Oh, okay.
Can I do
Do you
that?
want to take that to make it a success?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll be like, fine. Sorry I ran away. I don't know you and I don't care to fight other people's battles.
All right. Okay, so you spend a point of generosity, Yoshi, and you get a +1 from a free +1 from Linda, which is 2, which is what you needed to make it a success. And the woman, she listens to what you say, and I think especially probably what Harper said of like, they're gonna get in line type thing. The woman's like, all right. She coughs basically on her hand, and she reaches out for you. I'm assuming you let this happen now, Grayson, right?
Yeah, I think Grayson actually has to like take off their.
Oh,
I
yeah.
found the right term for it. It's an Omani burqa. So they take off the Omani burqa and like they pull away some of their scarves and layers. They let it happen.
And I think I tell you that there's going to be like a sharp pain, but it's very momentary, like scratches on the neck, just so you're not surprised when it happens.
I think that there are already scars on her neck, on their neck. There's already like a lot of scars and like just a disfigurement there.
Ooh, okay. In that case, this is something.
Like,
oh, sorry. This is something that Linda experienced in the last session. Basically, in Afterlife, there is things called breaks. And normally what would happen in this situation is that, for example, Grayson is already scarred on their neck, and re-getting that pain on their neck would trigger a memory for them. Normally you would call that as a player. As a GM, I'm assisting you because you don't know all the mechanics yet. So I am going to say, though, at this point, Linda, you, oh, sorry, not Linda, Echo, you take off the mask, and you have the slime kind of rubbed down your face, and you hear Echo remind you that like something's going to happen. And the moment though that you feel this sharp pain on your neck, Grayson, you are brought into a memory. So you guys, Echo and Harper, you see Grayson kind of go catatonic. And you've seen this before because each of you have had a break before. So you kind of zone out and you get lost in your memories. And I'm going to ask you, Grayson, what was this big trauma that was on, like, how did you get this? You said there were scars everywhere.
I'm gonna say I think it really is like it's traumatic. It's like the way that skin reacts to a traumatic injury. I'm gonna say like a burn. I'm gonna say just like a straight up like it's burn scars. And I think that they look pretty old.
Okay, like they happened when you were younger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I am going to say this. You are brought into a memory. And you are in the kitchen. It's a very simple kitchen. You see that you see that like you must have been cooking something because on the stovetop, there's all these kind of boiling pots of oil and different foods and different kind of like delicious stews. Like the smell and the scent of the food comes back to you immediately, like that scent memory you have, and you just know you're at home. You know, it's just like that one smell of like, oh yeah, home. And for you, it's that food. And you're standing in front of a stove that's almost too tall for you, but you just kind of managed to, with a little step, kind of stand there stirring something. And your brothers run in, and each of them has a stick in their hand, and they are challenging you to a duel. And there's three of them. They're all bigger than you, but they don't give a crap. You're their younger person, and they challenge you to a duel. They surround you, and they look down at you, and they kind of wave their sticks around.
Yeah, I pull the like soup spoon or the ladle out.
Mm-hmm.
Try and use that to brandish at them.
All right. I mean, I would say, I would argue there was one brother who you knew you could always best. Which one was that?
I'm gonna say it's the middle brother.
Okay.
Yeah, the middle brother. They were like, still bigger and taller, but I think that they hesitated a little bit. They were just like a little bit softer than the other brothers. A little bit nicer.
So the moment basically the both brothers are about to wail on you with the sticks, like you see him hesitate and you take that opportunity just to like get him with the ladle, right?
Hell yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's exactly what happens. The moment the other two brothers see it, like they start on you, you manage to like kind of probably crawl through their legs. The four of you are running around the kitchen like maniacs, basically. You're all very close together in age. You can like, I think maybe even like you're a twin to one of the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
You're all very close in age. But it happens at one point that they start to best you. And you really start to like, you start to get into it with them, right? You know, like the moment where kids fighting kind of turns into like, okay, now we're just in a fight. Like now we're just angry at each other. That's the moment everything kind of turns. What do you do? Do you start fighting? Do you just start like fighting with all you've got? Do you like get another weapon basically?
Yeah, I think that basically I think what happens is Grayson probably gets like knocked to the ground and like the ladle goes somewhere. And as soon as like another like whack comes down, I like grab the hand, just like I grabbed the eel lady's hand, and pull it down and bite their arm.
Okay. You pull down basically on one of your brothers and you bite their arm, but you realize as you pull them down, and you don't even know if it was without thinking or if it was out of instinct, they grabbed onto one of the soup pots and they pulled it down with them, and all of that hot, molten, like oily liquid falls over you. And it starts scalding you. And at this point, your brothers are freaking out. um, they're freaking out, and this is at the point where like the memory starts to fade slightly. Basically start coming out of your brain because they're freaking out, and the only thing that you remember is that out of everything that happened that day, and even though your brothers are totally worried about you, like they don't know what just happened, you remembered that you were blamed for it. You were blamed for this incident. It was your fault that that pot spilled on you, and you shouldn't have spilled it.
Great. Oh, Grayson is just like angry and annoyed and pissed all over again, for sure.
All right. I'm going to let you sit with that, and I'm going to scene change back to the two lovely people who just promised that their crewmate was not going to act up anymore. And the moment you see the gills form on the side of their neck, you see them go catatonic. The mermaid, she flips back into the water, and she turns and she looks expectantly at Grayson's body, which is just sitting there, like kind of dumbfoundedly staring into the water. And you see her face kind of like getting colder, if possible. What would the both of you like to do?
They should be fine in a moment. This happens sometimes when we recover memories. Did you... That's probably a question for later, but have you always been here in the swamp?
Are you trying to distract them with questions, or are you genuinely curious?
A bit of, probably actually mostly genuinely curious, though if it also distracts them, that's fair.
All right, so you're kind of, because you're still in you're bobbing in the water. So you just you ask this question. You're like, have you always been here in the swamp? And she narrows her eyes at you, and I think she's so confused at this point. I'm not even going to make you make a check for this because she just looks at you and she says, yes. Why do you ask such questions?
We traveled here from elsewhere. I wondered if you had too. But no, I say this is your home here.
Are all no tales from this elsewhere?
I could not say. All of us are.
She turns and she says, this one sits as if she's sick, or as if they're sick. Are they sick? And she kind of looks at Grayson's catatonic body, and she kind of like moves her hand almost over the edges of the body, like not touching it, but kind of like sensing it.
They will be fine shortly. It's just a temporary spell. It happens sometimes, but not often.
Lehman wishes to see you. We must go.
I'm going to turn to Echo and say, do you think gills work if she's not conscious? I'm not a fish expert. Sorry.
And I just sort of like shake my head. So Liz, how long does it normally take for like these catatonic memory things to last?
Well,
or is it variable?
I mean, let's say you were lucky, Echo, and you had your break in the gummy world.
Sure.
So actually all you missed was like the large margarita that everyone got to swim in. Which is like admittedly pretty sucky. So that was like half an hour for you. But then I would say poor Harper, she had her break in the kind of fiery brimstone world, and that happened almost like a second. So variable.
So yeah, I kind of like I just respond with sort of like the nonchalant shrug, and I'm like, it honestly is variable. Grayson could come back like that, or it may take a little bit. Um, can we wait until Grayson is ready, or till Grayson comes back, or do we need to go see Lehman right away?
The woman, she looks at you and she says, Lehman does not like waiting. It is your choice. And at this point, for the first time since you've gotten here, you see her smile with both rows of teeth.
Yeah. And I turn to Harper and I'm like, we could try to bring Grayson with us and keep their head above water, because I don't trust gills to work underneath water with not being able to control them until we get close.
That's probably the safest, yes.
I mean, alternatively, you or I could go and stay. One of us could stay here, one of us could go there, and then follow. But I don't know how far this Lehman is away from us.
As I say, yes, I think it would be safest to try and bring Grayson along with us. And
I just nod. Okay. Then I think like I think I get to the point where like I try to like maybe help Grayson. Like it's almost like if you had somebody who were like a drunk friend you were carrying, like putting your head underneath their arm and like carrying like and sort of like walking that way, and maybe like the both of us do that on either side till we get to the water.
Okay. All right. You all get you do that. You get to the water, and like Grayson's body starts you start like descending into the water. And I actually think that's the perfect moment, right? Like the moment that you actually, I think Grayson, once you get up to like your neck or so and you feel that liquid on your neck kind of going back to your break, you snap back into it. And two people are grabbing you, like kind of like your brothers were as well.
Great. That's precisely what I'd like to happen. Thank you. We're all good here. How are you? I think that Grayson, like, it takes them a moment and they immediately kind of like start thrashing a little bit, especially since like the swamp is cold and her neck is burning and there are two people holding on to them and they're just like, oh, hell no. And just like fighting.
Yeah, I immediately disengage and let.
Same.
All right. So you get a couple, like, probably like whaps in, right? And then you come to Grayson.
Great. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, like, unless you want to be like, no, I'm fighting them. Like,
no, that's totally fine. Yep.
Cool. Yeah, you come to. They're descending into the water with the mermaids. Would you like to follow them?
Grayson like
or you just want to cry on the shore?
Grayson's considering that, frankly.
I mean, fair.
This has been traumatic and terrible. But they just sort of like look around and they're tough as nails, so they just like take a deep breath, thinking that it will help, I guess, and just like the last shot is just like them just like sinking under. All
right. You all descend into the water and you have the same moment that Harper did, that like, don't think about breathing, I'm breathing type thing, and then you realize the gills work. You start swimming downwards after the eel woman, At one point, they feel like you're taking too long. So if you let them, they actually like offer their hands and they'll pull you along down with them because they're very good at swimming. Okay, all right. Well, I see a shake from Grayson. So they just you know, you even, I don't know, you can't even see a roll of the eye probably with like the black thing. But actually, you see one of them just like she goes like this with her hand. She like makes this moment to the other one, and the other one just like she does it the opposite way, and they just keep walking, like they keep swimming downwards. Is that nice, Grayson? Nice, nice, real, real kind. You swim farther down, and you realize that there's farther down you can swim, but the further you go down, the more darkness you see there. And they kind of stop. They kind of stop where you reach an almost twilight in the water between dark and light. And they start swimming towards roots. And what you realize, and you've been swimming for a good 30 minutes or so, I think, that the roots of these giant trees that you saw are actually going down into the water. And as you start swimming towards one of the trees, you notice like little lights in the distance. And these lights are coming from within the roots of the trees. And you see that there's like a society there. They don't have, these people, these merfolk, they don't have houses, but they live amongst the roots of the trees in kind of little schools with little lights and murky water that kind of partitions and separates in a way that you don't understand. And as you swim towards the roots of the tree, you see that there's a lot of like gleaming off the little lights that you see. There's kind of like these reflection of eyes, and as you get closer and closer, you realize it's the merfolk. And you swim to the center of one of these kind of root tangles, and at the center, you see a merman sitting there, and he's kind of resting against a mess of small roots and algae. And next to him, kind of tangled in the roots, almost woven in a ceremonial type way, you see the corpse of another merman. And this corpse has a giant wound down the front of it. And you recognize it as a wound because it's a bright red color, which, okay, for you as humans is really normal. But these are kind of pale, swampy creatures, and it seems almost unnatural on this creature. And the man who like is Lehman, basically the two women point, he seems to be mourning over this body. You notice that like when he recognizes the both of you, he goes up to the women and he touches both their faces, but they don't touch his. And he looks at the three of you, and he nods to the woman, and at this point you see him concentrating for a moment, and the roots around this area start to get thicker and thicker and thicker, as if they're kind of encasing you and him in a small bubble. Unless you do anything, cool. They make like sort of about a 10-meter in diameter hole, and the water starts to drain out of it. And the man basically rests on the reeds, and he looks at the three of you, and he says, "You are not the hag."
Not last I checked.
"What are you?"
Well, I think that a lot of us, or a few of us, were sort of hoping that you might be able to tell us.
He he kind of he motions for you to come towards him. Do you walk towards him, Grayson?
Mm-hmm.
He reaches his hand out. He's gonna rub his hand over your face. Do you let him?
Yeah, I think that Grayson still has the burqa mask like around her neck, and like they've rewrapped the rest of it. But yeah, they can he can touch Grayson's face like without.
All right. He rubs his hand over your face, like not in a violent way, just in the same way that you've seen him do to the two women and the women do to each other. And he says, "I do not know what you are, but you are not the head. You are not the ones who did this." And he points to the man, like he nods to the man with his head.
Okay, I think Grayson will sort of like glance back at Harper and Echo, and then like look to the man that's wounded, and they will sort of gesture and just like, can I take a look?
Yeah, by the way, the person who's wounded, like that's a corpse.
Right.
Yeah. He says, yes, but you may not see.
Okay. Grayson just sort of nods, and they walk closer to the wounded creature.
Okay.
And I think that they want to see if he's like really dead, or if he's just like really badly hurt and like comatose.
Okay. So you kind of want to just like do a perception medically type thing.
Yeah, and like if like they can notice anything else, like weird veins or discoloration or whatever.
Cool. I mean, I would argue that's awareness. I don't know if there's a different approach you want to take, but I mean, I don't think you have any medical training. At least I don't see anything in education. So
Yeah, I think awareness is fine. Yeah,
okay.
That sounds good to me. All right, so that's 3. Okay, I only got 1 success, but I think that I will actually use one of my concept
Cool.
marks.
You see that this person is indeed dead.
Mm-hmm.
What you recognize is that you kind of look closer at the wound, and it almost looks like you know how scars bubble up when they heal. That's what it looks like. Like it's a giant bubbly kind of boily scar. And the second thing you recognize is that or like looking closer at this young man, he looks very similar to Lehman. Like they could be familial related to one another. Yeah, you don't see any movement. You don't see, like, at least without touching the body, like you're pretty sure it's dead.
Okay. I think that after seeing that, Grayson is going to take off one of their scarves and wrap it around the wound. So if the wound is like in his chest, Grayson's going to like wrap it around their chest and like tie it, or if it's around their arm or whatever.
All right. The moment you go to like move to put your scarf on the corpse, the like Lehman's tail flicks out and just like flicks the scarf away, and he says, "Do not see."
Grayson kind of glares at him. And it's just like, I was trying to honor him. All right, and fine. And they like snatch their scarf up and like go pout somewhere.
All right. He like he doesn't say anything actually. He looks at you and he just doesn't react to your pouting, basically. And he turns to the two of you, Echo and Quinn, and he says, "Do you know the other one with no tail? Do you know the hag?"
No, we have only just come to this place ourselves. We do not know anything of those who live here, but I suppose we could try and find out something for you, if it would help.
He says, I do not need information. I need the hag. He says, but he points and he says, but she lives up where we cannot go.
I kind of nod and like I look up, even though I know I can't see like through the dome of like where the gesture is, and then I look back at Lehman. I'm like, if you cannot go there, maybe we can. And even though I don't know this hag that you speak of, maybe we can find out more for you. And even though you say you don't need information, maybe we can get some, or get the hag, or find out something.
He looks at you for a moment and he says, why? Why would you do this for me?
And just so I know, like, we feel like there's something in this like world that is pulling us, but like we don't necessarily know like where it is. Like there's not like a directional sense to it. It's just somewhere here, right?
No, yeah, you just know that being in limbos makes you feel better because you're closer to your memories. And yeah, you don't know where though.
Yeah. And so like I kind of like look at Lehman and I'm like, we've come here because we felt a pull to this place. And for better or worse, we don't know exactly what it is that's pulling us here. So helping you and helping others while we wander and figure it out, well, there's worse ways we could spend our time than helping someone else.
He thinks it over for a moment, and he says, very well. You may go speak to this hag.
I just nod.
And he says, I will have the sisters take you to where we cannot go. He says, to the entrance, and you must travel the rest of the way yourself.
Okay. Lead on.
Cool. Is there anything else anyone wants to say? Because otherwise I will drain the place of all water. And by I mean Lehman will do that. Cool. Drain the place of all air. Oh wait, I saw Linda unmute and mute. Are you?
Yeah, I think that Grayson is a little miffed, just like slightly miffed.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like bunching up their scarf in their hand, and they're just like, what does a hag even look like?
2 legs. It has 2 legs.
Yeah, that's common around here, so a little bit more specificity would be really very helpful.
All right. It basically motions you. Lehman motions for you to come forward.
Okay.
And
Grayson does.
all right. He wants to touch your face again.
Yeah, Grayson is just like, okay.
Okay. You feel something pushing into your mind. And you basically see the image of a humanoid person who is covered like in mud, and their hair looks like twigs, basically. Like it's kind of like this long flowing hair, which is like twig and straw like. And they have a crooked smile. And the smile, it's not so much that you see the smile, but you just feel the malice coming off of it. And he releases your face.
Yeah, Grayson sort of like rubs her forehead, like the middle of her forehead. And it's just like, thank you, I think. And they also offer the scarf to the old man.
All right. If you pass it to Lehman, he takes it in his hands and like looks at it. You like these people don't wear anything in the form of clothing, so he looks kind of confused, but he just like he runs his finger down his face and as like at you like and the water starts to rise up again and you see the roots kind of like untangling themselves. The sisters, the two women, and a couple of other ones as well, they come and they get you. He speaks very briefly with them, and by speaks, I mean he kind of grabs, like they grab each other's hands and they start moving their fingers along each other's hands for a bit. And they both nod at him. And then they kind of circle around the three of you and then swim off purposefully and like motion for you to come with them. And they take you. You guys swim for a while, and it's pretty exhausting. The sisters do offer you a hand if you would like them to pull you along. I see someone saying yes. I see someone making a face, and one person who is stoically unexpressive. Or, well, stoic that I can't read. Harper, what are you allowing to happen to you?
Yeah, no, I think she will, keep like kicking and attempting to swim under her own power, but she will allow herself to be dragged along as well.
Okay, so Echo and Harper, you're feeling fine. Grayson, are you allowing?
Grayson will yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Grayson will allow one of them to take their hand.
Okay.
But they're not pleased about it.
Fair. You are very displeased as they pull you along. In that case, none of you suffer any type of exhaustion because they pull you along. So you swim for at these and at the point where they grab the three of you, they start swimming exponentially faster. But you're still swimming for about 2 hours until you get to where the hag is. And at that point, they take you to the surface and they point to a tree. And they say, there. And at this point, they let go of you. And a couple of the sisters actually just like stay in the water as you guys get onto shore. What would you like to do? It's a giant tree. Like imagine, like those giant rainforest trees type things. Like it just like goes ever upward into a giant canopy.
Yeah, so I want to look around because if there's somebody here, I want to look for like signs of life and just like what the general situation is. Like, is there stairs carved into this tree? Does it look like there's a path? Is there housing? That type of stuff.
All right. Can you make me a check, please? I would say this is awareness.
Sure. This is great. I have 5 dice in awareness, essentially. Difficulty 2?
Yeah, I challenged you.
Okay, cool. All right, let's see how that goes. It's a good thing I was rolling 5 dice because I only got 2 successes.
Yeah. Sometimes the bigger your dice pool, the harder you fail, man.
Yeah.
You look around. You don't see any stairs. What you do notice now, actually trying to actually percept and look around purposefully, at the top of the tree near the canopy, you do notice some structures built up there, like some landings. More so that you notice that your view of the canopy is obstructed by something other than branches. And around the base of the tree, you're still a little distance off, so you're not going to be grabbed by anything that's completely near it. You see that there are purposeful built structures around the edge of it. that aren't made out of, they're kind of made out of shiny material, and they're very reflective, that you can't really make out what they are from this distance.
Do you point this out to
Yeah, I'll
people?
point. Yeah, I'll point all of this stuff out, and as I'm pointing it out, I'm like, we're probably just going to need to get closer, but there's definitely at least someone who's here. So I'm kind of curious why the mermaid, like the merfolk, couldn't come up here. But that's for another time.
Yeah, Grayson's gonna point at like the shiny things, and they're gonna just look to Echo and then look to Harper and put their hands on their hips and just be like, how much do you want to bet that's fish scales?
Perhaps. I mean, I can't see why there would be such animosity between people that live in the water and people that live at the top of trees, really. But, well, I suppose nature finds a way.
I just kind of like look at Grace and I'm like, that's not a safe bet for me to take.
Yeah, I think Grayson is just like, y'all, great. No, that's me. Grayson is just like, haven't you seen the way hawks catch fish? There's not much love lost. And I think Grayson starts trekking towards the shiny homes.
All right, Grayson, you walk up to the shiny piles and you notice that there's a lot of fish scales there. You notice that there are piles of fish scales. They are huge, though, right?
Ooh.
Like these piles are like of fish scales, kind of the size of sand dollars. And they're beautiful and they're iridescent and they kind of catch what light there is in the swamp. And as you're looking at them, a branch of the tree starts snaking down towards you to grab you.
Do I notice that, or do I just I think I'm pretty entranced by the fish scales. I like kick them.
Okay, well then I'd like to say your party members notice this happening.
I think I'm gonna like try to get in between the branch and Grayson as like I'm saying something, like position myself between them and like pay attention, like don't get distracted. And is this just like a branch? It looks like a tree branch. Does it look like a snake? Like what does it look like?
It looks like a vine.
Okay.
But not animalistic or something. It really looks like it's from the tree.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna get in between, and then like, despite the fact that that looks like a tree, I'm assuming there's like branches or something on the ground that I can like pick up and just like sort of like deflect it, like not necessarily attacking it, but like if it's reaching out, sort of like push it away type thing.
Okay. What is your approach for that? Let's see.
I mean, it's body of some sort. I don't know if it's really that dexterous or strength. I guess it depends on how much it's resisting.
Yeah, like I mean, I would argue dexterity just to like actually like just stab it in the right place in front of the vine, right?
Sure.
Right? Like, all right.
Yeah. That's fine with me. That's 3. And then like, because I'm standing in front of Grayson and sort of like protecting him, like sort of the shield approaching it,
Okay.
to get me to 4.
What does your shield look like? Did you describe that already or no?
Yeah. So I described it, but I'm not using the physical shield, because to me the shield, like the physical shield part of it, is sort of like my body armor, like the clothing that I'm wearing.
The clothing, yeah.
But like this is more like how I'm approaching it. Like I'm approaching it from like the stance of like I'm protecting somebody else. Like I'm putting myself in between Grayson and the danger. Or does it have to be like the actual physical representation?
It has to be the physical representation, so it's kind of like using it in some way.
Cool. Then
Um,
I will just take the 3 dice.
Cool.
I get 1 success.
That is not enough.
No. Sure. I'll spend a point of ferocity and bring it to 2.
Okay. 1 point left. You stick the stick. You stick the stick in front of the vine. I was about to say you stick the stick in front of the stick. You stick the stick in front of the vine, and the moment the vine touches something, it coils around it and like it yanks it out of your hand and it pulls it all the way up, and you see kind of like a couple of leaves fall down right from the top of the canopy.
Yeah, I like immediately as soon as it like pulling it away, it's letting go of the stick, and I just kind of like, well, that happened. We should probably be aware of vines coming down and grabbing us.
So I think Grayson is going to look at Echo and just be like, we were so keen on other things pulling us other places. I don't understand why now you have a problem with it. Let's just go up the tree. Let's just vine up. Let's just vine up the tree. Let's do it. Grayson's very tired.
Mm-hmm. And I think I kind of like look at you. I'm like, and I look up. Are there other vines that are just hanging down?
Yeah, like the canopy type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's other vines.
And I'm like, they're there. If you want to go grab one, I'm not going to stop you.
Grayson looks at Harper just like, you have an opinion?
Well, I think it would be safer to get up under our own steam to that way we can get down if we want to. I'm not happy about letting this, well, tree entangle us until we've at least had a chance to see what's up there, what's going on with this.
All right, Grayson, are you gonna go alone?
No, I don't think so. I think they'll just sort of take a deep breath and like look up at the tree, and they will see if there's any way, like if there's any way to like walk around the tree to maybe like get a good survey in.
Yeah, of course, you can walk around the tree, like just with your feet.
Then that's what Grayson will use. Their own 2 feet.
Okay, you take a walk around the tree. You see similar piles around the tree. And in the distance, you hear a sound, all of you kind of echoing through the trees. It's kind of like a caw sound, like a cry almost. But it seems pretty far in the distance. And yeah, you make an entire circle around this giant tree, and you come back. It's like the size of what's that really famous forest in America? Like the ones where like tens of people have to circle around a tree. It's a huge tree.
The redwoods?
Yeah, exactly.
For that caw,
Yeah.
and I'm like, does it sound like just a random bird, or does that sound like something like specific, like something else that might be making that and signaling something? Like, is it a scout like caw type thing?
Well, you haven't heard any, like, it's been a suspiciously quiet area, and this is the first sound you've heard.
So like, maybe I'm just trying to like locate like where that's coming from, or like see if there's any like reaction from that caw that came.
Okay. It's an awareness.
Sure, let's do this again. I got 5 dice in this. Whew. Yep, spectacular failure. I got 1 success on 5 dice. So
Okay. Okay. You gonna take that failure?
no, I think I'll spend a point of lucidity.
Okay. Spending them pools.
I mean, we're gonna rest eventually, right?
Sure. You hear the call coming from, generally, at least from where you're standing, behind you, right? Like kind of from where you came out of the water, but then farther in the distance. And you do see some rustling at the top of the tree.
Yeah, so I'll point that out to like where the wrestling is, and is it? Do I know much more than the wrestling, or is it just like I see there's like a figure there or something like that?
Yeah, you saw something jump from like one of those platforms to another one, because like you're kind of keyed in. Like you told your party, like you told your crew members that there were like something on the platform, like there's some type
Yeah.
of platforms, but you can kind of like map out where they are, and you saw something jump from one to the next.
Yeah, so like I think I'll let them, like, everybody else know, and I kind of just like do like look at them like, do we just want to like call and make ourselves known? Like,
I think it's fair to assume that they will have seen us by now anyway, so
yeah.
I don't think drawing further attention is going to make our situation any worse. And yeah, I'm just going to call out hello and wave up at the movement in the branches.
Okay. You call hello, and your echo kind of echoes through the swamp, and you wave, and the vines that are above you start to wave back, and you think that they're saying hello, and what you actually realize, though, Harper, is that they're coming towards you to grab you.
Maybe we should share your idea, Grayson.
Do you just let yourself be sucked up? Are you like, maybe we should try your idea? Whoop.
I think so, actually. Yeah, pretty much that. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so you don't resist. Okay. You're like,
Oh my god.
you're like, maybe we should try your approach, Grayson. And at this point, like the vines like come down, wrap around you, and just like pull you up, and like within like a snap of a fingers, Harper's gone.
Good lord. And Grace is just like looking up, and they'll look at Echo, and they'll look back up, and they'll just be like, well, unless you got like a faster way to get up there, looks like we're going for a tree ride.
Yeah, I just nod and I kind of like look up to like where Harper disappeared, and I'm like, yo buddy, you okay up there?
In that case, as you say that, I'm gonna quickly, Harper, you're pulled up at, like, I'm not gonna say the speed of light. I'll say the speed of vines. The speed of vines to the top of the tree. It is almost sickening at the speed. You're kind of like whipped up there. But you're nicely swaddled in these vines as you kind of finally reach an equilibrium of stillness. And you take in what's around you. You're at the canopy tops on one of these platforms that Echo had seen. And hanging from the top of the canopies, you see what looks like a heart to you. It's a bit of a different shape, but it's still a heart. You can recognize the heart, the ventricles and things like that. And it's hanging from these branches, and you see like all these teeny little roots weaving into the heart. and the heart's beating. And it's not a giant heart, it's about this large or so, but it's like, it's the first thing you're confronted with. And kind of moving oddly and kind of almost separate from reality in a way, you see this figure of a person completely caked in mud with these like twig pieces of hair falling around their shoulders. And they're kind of almost moving as if they're a tree behind the heart staring. And at that point you hear, what was it? Hello, Harper? From the ground.
Yeah. Have the vines released me, or are they still hanging on to me? Yeah.
Of course they are. You're nice and snug.
Yeah, I'm up here. The vines still have a hold of me. There's a person up here, and
The vines begin to squeeze.
okay, the vines are squeezing me a bit now. This
And it's getting hard to talk.
You
Oh
might
my
have to help
God.
yourself. We'll try to get there as soon as possible.
Grayson's like waving, like sort of like just trying to do what Harper did. Like, hi, please get me too. I'm totally not gonna cut you.
Okay,
Please.
you want to get grabbed by the vines? The vines will grab you.
Hell yeah.
Okay, they swaddle you as well,
Great.
and they bring you up in the same exact way, and you are right next to Harper, swaddled in with him. Sorry, with her. Sorry.
No deal. I'm not. I'm just trying to scramble up the tree.
Okay. Actually, let's have you make a check for that before I get to the two people being squozen. Before I make orange juice. I would like a check from you.
Yeah, that feels like dexterity or maybe
Yeah, like
stamina.
if you're scrambling up. I mean, like, just scrambling up quickly, dexterity. I agree.
All right, let's do this.
Do
I got
that.
one success.
And
I
you have
will
one
spend-
point of ferocity
I will spend my last point of ferocity to get
to
to
scramble
get
up in an expedient manner.
Yeah.
All right, fair. I'm gonna go back to the other two people because it does take you a little bit of time, right? Like, I'll first actually go to Harper though, because you are the first person being squozen and most squozen. Would you like to do something about the squeeziness?
yeah. So I guess I am just going to try and break out, sort of, squirm and push my way out of these vines, or at the very least try and not actually get choked out by them.
Okay. Are you trying to like break them apart or just like wriggle out?
Probably trying more to break them apart. I think pushing back against them because, as I say, if nothing else, I want to try and make sure that they can't actually contract around me, even if I can't get free.
All right, cool. Strength?
Sure thing. So that will be, I think, 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2 successes.
All right, that's enough. I think what you do is at this point, like, because your arms are around your side, right? Like you push them out to a significant way that you're like you said, you're not being passed out. Or you're not being passed out. You are not passing out. You're not passing out, and like if you wanted to, you can kind of like slip underneath the vines and get out of it. Basically, like you kind of brute strength it open and just like kind of plop out.
Sure thing. That sounds good.
Onto the platform. Grayson.
Yeah, I think that Grayson's like scarves and ribbons, like some of them have like blades and razors like sewn into the hem, which is part of like where the swords, like the sword bit comes in. So Grayson's going to be using their scarves and ribbons from like razor ribbons to like chop and hack at the vines while like also like pushing them away at the same time.
Okay, so your sentient scars basically have razors on the edge.
Hell yeah.
And that is your sword then, basically. All right. I like that. So you get a +1 to your check.
Cool.
And you're gonna use strength then, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, so that'll be 5.
Yeah. I mean, you saw how it went for Yoshi, so good luck.
Why would you do that? You're supposed to be my fan.
I'm your fan. I'm just not your dice fan.
Ha! 2 successes.
Okay. So you like your scarves come alive and they start slashing basically at the vines, which almost in a sentient way kind of like sees for a second to the point where you can slip out of them. And you manage to get out, and as you do, basically that's the moment that Echo kind of like crests the platform and you get up there, because you both have been struggling, right? Grayson and Harper, it's not like a 5-second woohoo. And at this point you hear another caw, and it's closer, and that figure that's kind of like disjointedly moving behind the heart, you see it at this point from its hair. It pulls something out, and what you notice is it's kind of like this long dagger with a ball at the end, which it's kind of holding. And it starts to hiss, and it says, one of water, one of land. It hisses at the both of you, at the three of you. And she kind of starts like moving towards you.
Grayson would sort of like to tell their teammates, okay, I'm going to grab that heart. You take care of this witch. And Grayson's going to run over to the heart.
Well, I mean, like, I would, like, hey, you run over to the heart. And what are you going to do with the heart? Because it's like, this isn't a big platform, right? So you get there. Like, you stand up. You know, cross that meter in a second. You're at the heart, Grayson.
Grayson's going to use their, like, sentient sword scarves to cut the twigs away from the heart and take it.
Oh, okay. All right, go ahead. I mean,
okay.
I would say, like, I mean, are you going to try strength? Because I would say this is probably a precision job type thing, right?
Yeah.
You can use strength if you want, but I would say it would be an up difficulty.
Yeah, I mean, I could also do, I could use like, if you wanted, I could do creativity or strength, or awareness. It could be a lot of things, but I think like the intent
just
behind
something you have a +1 in.
Yeah, anything I have a +1 in, please. The big thing is that Grayson's intent is obviously to return this to the eel people.
Okay.
If
I mean,
that
how do you I'll let you decide. How do you want to do it?
I mean, it is a bit of a precision thing. I think that, yeah, like, if we wanted to do dexterity, we could, or awareness. I think either of those are fair calls in this case.
Cool.
So it'll be 3 either way.
Yeah. Let's go with awareness then. You know what I mean? Like you're finding the right places to cut.
Yeah. So, and then since they're using their approach, I'll get a +1 for that. Correct. Yeah. So I'll be rolling 5 die. Let me clear these. All right, here we go. Boom. 2 successes.
Okay. I am, before I narrate what happens when you do that, the two of you, right? She said, deal with the witch. I'm gonna cut down the heart. She runs up to the heart. You see the scarves slashing. What are the both of you doing?
So I just want to, because so my talent is numerology, which allows me to divide creatures in front of me.
Yeah.
So the way I sort of see this looking is I can kind of make almost like sort of warding sigils that kind of box people in.
Okay.
So I think I sort of open my hands and I've got kind of almost like mathematical symbols tattooed onto the fingers and palms of my hand, and I do some sort of complicated finger movements, almost like I'm working an abacus, doing some sort of mental arithmetic, and I'm going to attempt to kind of box this the witch, as Grayson said, into a sort of a square of like force almost.
Okay, so you're dividing the witch from you guys, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your approach going to be? So you get a +1 from your talent then. But what are you actually going to use? Like, I mean, what is your talent kind of powered by with you? Like, is it your intelligence? Is it just you being
I'm going to say actually probably education. I think it is
Oh.
it is maths sort of thing. It's like it's
Cool.
numerology is a thing. So I think it's kind of advanced magical maths of some variety.
Awesome. I like that. Use your education. I love when people use their education. So far, every session, someone's used it. So it makes me happy.
So I think that brings me up to 5. The talent gives me a +1, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That's 2 successes.
2 successes. All right. So you box the witch in as Grayson cuts down the heart. And you've gotten her into a corner, at least for a small time, with these runes. And the moment that you cut down the heart, Grayson, the tree starts to shake and shiver, and the leaves that are above you, they start to fall, and you notice this. You notice this first echo. The first leaf falls next to you, and as it falls down onto the ground and splats onto the wooden support there that you're standing on, it falls into a pool of blood. And then another leaf falls. And another. And you get it.
And I'm like, oh, I think we should be going. I know we want this. They want the witch. But I have a feeling if we take this heart, we should be running. So more running. Like they'll be following us. So more running now.
Running, are you, because there's nowhere to run this platform, are you just trying to get down this tree as quickly as possible? So at this point, like all the trees are like the leaves are falling and like blood is raining down on you, and the tree is slippery, right? So what's your approach for getting, like, as you're just like, we're running, like, Echo, how are you getting down this tree exactly?
I think it's gonna be like, I think it's just definitely like looking for the places where there isn't blood splatters yet, whether that's because it's underneath the shelter of our branch, so like the leaves aren't dropping onto those things, and trying to like more carefully like pay attention to where the places that are safer to go and navigate down that way. And knowing that, how big is this heart? Is it like
It's
a heart?
human size. It's human
Human
size.
size. Okay. Um, yeah. Yeah, like trying to get down quickly, because I can imagine for Grayson trying to navigate while holding that might not work so well. So like maybe getting to a place where if I can get down to catch the heart and let Grayson drop it type thing.
Okay. Yeah, so you're trying to get down smart, not fast.
Yes.
All right, cool. I guess you're going to use your awareness.
That's the plan.
Cool.
Let's see if I can do that. First, I'm going to clear the dice. Oh, look at that. I rocked it. I got 4 successes.
Okay, going down smart, not fast was the right idea. You start kind of finding ways to climb down that are somewhat underneath shelter so that all the blood running down the trees, because like there's a lot of different vines which are connecting this giant tree. So you try to kind of avoid the little rivers which are forming as you start to descend. Harper.
Yeah, so I think Harper is going to pull 2 of the quills out of her quiver and use them like pitons to try and climb her way down down the side of the tree by jamming them into the bark.
Okay. That sounds cool. And you are using them as an assistant, so I don't think it's going to be any more difficult for you because you're stabbing them in. We've established that they're sharp quills that are good enough to stabinate people. So you can stab them into a tree. Strength, right?
Yeah, strength sounds fair. That's 2 successes again.
Okay. Yeah, you do so. You've both started descending the tree. You hear, Grayson, as you're trying to figure out the best way to get down with this heart in your hand, you do notice the witch starting to break free from the runes that that Harper has put in place. How are you getting down? You have this heart in your hand. I don't know. You're holding it.
Yeah. I was hoping that. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. My mother called me. She loves me a lot. So I think that Grayson takes the heart, and if there's any way that they can like wrap it in one of their scarves and like attach it to their body so they're like holding it close to them so they have the use of both their hands.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like you could definitely do that. It's gonna take you some time, and the witch is approaching you.
Yeah. So I was under the impression that this tree was very close to the water.
Uh-huh. Ooh, okay, yeah. I like you going. Continue.
Yeah, I was under the impression that this tree was close to the water, and I was hoping that Grayson's very direct and impulsive, and it's like, okay, well, I need to get in the water anyway. I think that if they can see the water, they're just gonna like run and like cannonball into that pool.
Okay.
If they can.
I mean, I find this very entertaining.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you do.
But I'm also going to say, like, from this height, it is going to be very difficult for you, like, to land without just splooting, like, all over the water surface, right? So I would say, like, challenge 4, to get your flawless landing type thing.
Yeah, I mean, Grayson's really impulsive and not thinking about it. I think that they really would just run and jump off this platform and try and get to where they needed to be.
Okay. All right. Let's look at what you have with you, right? So we have the sword, which is not your slashers aren't going to help you.
No, they are not.
We do have your shadow self slink into the shadows and become one with them. Do we want to define that in some way to assist you in your fall? I mean, your cannonball, your well-planned cannonball, which will not kill you.
My well thought out planned cannonball plan.
Yeah.
I think the big thing. So I was actually going to when we first encountered the pit, I sort of had a thought in mind of the shadow self being able to like merge with that kind of limbo in between limbo, like where that pit was like another surface that we had to break through in order to get to like a new place, where it was like that second limbo. I was sort of going to try and go with that direction with it, where they could like control some of the like darker aspects of the Tenebris in the way that like it's very fluid in a weird way. That was sort of going to be it.
Okay.
But I don't quite know how. I don't know how the shadow self thing would help in this case. Even sort of like divorcing myself from that idea, because Grayson really is just like running and jumping.
Fair. I mean, I'm a fan. Like, do it, dude.
Okay.
Challenge 4.
Right. Would I be able to would I be able to make an argument for strength, as in like strength of will and body? Like just running and jumping and inner strength.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
cool.
Sure, simply because, like, sure.
Okay, cool. I like it.
Okay.
Feel free to say no to me. All right, so I need 4 successes is what you're telling me here.
You need 4 successes.
What? And it happens.
That is not Oh my goodness. All right.
Flash load.
You got 4 successes on 4 dice.
Yes.
So, Yoshi, I want you to know all those 5 dice roll checks that you were doing badly at, like, she preemptively sucked all the joss from that. Okay. You know what? Please narrate to me how this happens.
Okay, so there's blood all around, right? Like we see the blood falling.
Yeah.
Grayson like looks down and sees like Harper quilling her way down the trunk, and they see Echo like picking their way slowly, like sliding from bridge to bridge, like scooting on their butt. That's kind of how I imagine it. And Grayson looks at the witch and is just like, I don't have time for any of that. And they just turn and like hold, like as they run, they like tie the heart around their chest and they just run and they jump off this platform and they do sort of like the cross hands across and like the swift body dive and they just get right into the pool and they like there's almost no splash. It's almost like they just like disappear.
Cool. So that happens. Thank you for describing that. Going back to Echo and Harper, who are halfway down the tree, the witch has just seen that happen. Her heart, or the heart that she had acquired, is gone. What the both of you see is you're about halfway down. She, like, just on her belly, face down, starts to slide down the tree towards the both of you. And first person to touch their nose isn't the closest. Okay, so that means, Harper, you are the closest.
Yeah, that's fair.
She slide down towards you, and she is intent on. She basically is, I think, even just sliding down with that thing. She's gonna slash at you.
Yes. So I think what Harper is going to do, as she's coming down towards her, she's going to pull both quills out of the tree, and basically attempt to fling one up at the witch and then arrest her fall with the other further down the trunk.
Harper is very stylish, I've noticed. This is very cool. This is very cinematic. I also like how you used the quills before. You're just like, throw, dodge. Now she's like, pull out, throw. Oh, cool. I like it. You've convinced me. That sounds cool. I mean, you're still using your approach. You get a +1. And then, I mean...
It's probably a dexterity here,
yeah,
which isn't my forte,
right?
but...
Yeah. All right. Challenge 2.
That's 2 successes.
Okay. You throw the quill at her, basically, and you kind of like you disengage for a moment, so you're almost in free fall. You chuck the quill. You hit her in her shoulder, and she actually lets go of her weapon. And then you use your other quill as like a piton to kind of slide all the way down, and just like you land very stylishly, like you're just fancy in that way. That's the only way I can describe it. Like, it looks good. Like, you've trained for this, or maybe not. I don't know. We'll explore that later in your memories. That only leaves Echo, and then there was one. The witch is extra pissed now, though, and you're close. She's dropped her weapon. She has a quill, though. She pulls the quill out of her shoulder, and she slides down towards you with she has kind of like this crazed look on her face, and she pulls it out, and she's about to stab it in your face.
So I think I'm gonna like wait for the last moment, like to make sure that my footing or whatever it is that I'm like situated on, and then as she approaches, I just want to wait and then sort of do the Aikido, like use her own momentum and the force of her energy to kind of like grab her wrist and just like fling her past me, so that she goes flying while I stay where I am, more or less.
Cool. I like that. What approach were you thinking for this?
This feels like it's probably dexterity, like more than anything else.
Yep. That's a challenge 2. Sorry.
Cool.
This morning, Linda sucked up all the rolls.
I know. Well, we'll see. This might be that I'm just gonna take something. So I did fail. I got 1 success.
Yeah.
But I don't have any more ferocity to spend. So I think, I think she probably hits me.
Yeah, she does. She, like I said, she's like aiming for you. She stabs the quill through your eye. And you take a point of health damage. So your health is now at 2. She's right on you now, though. What would you like to do? I'm gonna continue going with you now, just because like you're right in the thick of it, and
Cool.
your crew members are a bit farther down.
Well, not having an eye, one less eye is going to make it hard to be as aware. But I think this is sort of like if she stabbed me. I think it might just turn into a tumble, and I think I'm just going to like grab onto her and I think I'm just gonna fall the rest of the way down and try to tumble so that she's the one who hits the ground first and I land on top of her.
Okay. So you're actually just trying to aim this right so you don't get hurt, basically.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Fall well, Echo. Fall
Fall
well.
well. And I'm relying a little bit of the fact that I have like this shielding armor in me that will hopefully help a little bit.
I think that's totally fair. So that gives you a +1 to just
Yeah.
like not getting smushed.
Yeah, and I think this is dexterity because it's more about aiming and tumbling right than it is about strength or stamina. All right, this gets me 4 dice.
Cool.
I got 3 successes.
There you go. I'm just marking your XP for you. You've got your XP.
Okay.
Awesome. What happens is, actually describe it to me. How do you fall on her? You do it. You succeeded.
So I think for me falling is like I think she stabs me in the eye with this quill and like I grab her shoulder and like it's more like I'm stumbling back and before I realize it like I'm falling off this branch and so like I think it's just like at the last moment I sort of just like kick off from the tree with like grabbing onto like her as she's like grabbing onto me and like just with that little bit of kick is enough to kind of give me enough momentum to like turn and so that I can like put her back and like if she's facing me like put her back to the thing and I just kind of like land on her trying like as best as I can to use her body as a softening thing as I land on top of her and we both hit the ground.
All right. That impact is enough because you've smushed her. She's not dead. But the shock is enough for her to be delayed. So do you just leg it towards the water then?
I think about it for a second and I'm like, no, they wanted the merfolk wanted her. So like if she's shocked for a moment, like I think I'm probably I don't really have anything. I think I'm just gonna like try to like wrap her in like a bear hug thing and call for everybody else to come here to help me.
Okay. Well, you call out, and Harper, I think you're probably the closest, right? Because you stuck the landing, so to say. And because Grayson's in the water right now.
Yeah, so I think at that point, I think maybe as Echo, sorry, no, as Echo gets her into a bear hug, I think I'm just going to pull another quill and attempt to throw it into her chest.
Oh, are you trying to kill her?
Yeah, I think I probably am, to be honest. It's you know, I feel like we've kind of crossed that moral threshold a little while back. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Another dexterity. That's what you've been doing.
Does this count? Does sorry, I lost my words there. Does Echo grappling her count as helping me in this?
Sure. I mean, that's up to Yoshi. Yoshi, you want to assist? Cool.
Yeah.
So +1.
Cool. It's only 1 success. But I do have a point of ferocity that I will spend to bring that up to 2 successes.
Ooh. Okay. You throw the quill into her chest. Is it just super stylish like you've always been doing? It doesn't do like massive trauma. It just kind of like slips into her chest almost.
Yeah, I think it's more like very very hard, very sharp, and very precise, rather than like sort of gibbing people or what have you. It's yeah.
Man, Harper's so cool. Okay, I want to be Harper when I grow up. Cool. Okay, so like the quill slips into her chest, and you feel Echo. You feel the witch seize up like she was about to fight you, but as the quill like hits into her chest, she goes slap in your arms. Excuse me, sorry. Sorry about that. I just had to mute myself for my second sneeze. Yeah, she goes kind of like loose. Sorry, I just realized I was speaking Dutch, not English. She starts hanging in your arms and dead.
So like now that she's dead, it's like she's made of wood, right? Like her hair you described as like twigs and things like that. Is she like a tree like plant person type thing?
Are you gonna try to rub off some of the mud basically? Because like she's like literally caked.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll try to do that. Uh I'll try to rub off some of the mud and stuff like that and kind of like figure out like what she is a little bit.
Yeah, so you're holding her like you like on her shoulder, like you just start chipping off some of the mud. What you notice when you chip off, like you rub off some of it and then you kind of pull a patch off. You notice that some little roots go with it. And as you look into this kind of space where this little, like, about this much mud has come off, um, you see that there's like this giant root structure underneath. Um, and it doesn't, like, she doesn't bleed, but you see there's a kind of like from the like roots that are exposed, you see that there's kind of some like murky water trickling out of them, you know what I mean, like welling in that place, but it stops quickly, like there's no life in this body. So
Yeah. I kind of just like sort of shake my head a bit and then start like look to Harper. Because even though I might be able to carry it by myself, a non-cooperative body is still an awkward thing to carry. So I think we'll carry it together down to the shore because they wanted this. This is what they're gonna get. So
Yeah, I'll come over and grab the legs and help move the body to the shore.
are you pulling the quill out of your eye, Echo?
So me, Yoshi, knows that you don't actually pull anything that's embedded into you until you have like proper medical treatments. So maybe not. Like I might break it off so it doesn't snap, like it doesn't snag on anything.
Yeah,
But like I'm not actually pulling it out because that might cause more problems and bleeding.
fair. I was gonna do an extra damage at the end of the session, but I won't. No, cool. So you were in the water, Grayson. The moment you fell into the water and you kind of like you went all, you didn't fall, like, you know what I mean, you're controlled landing into the water, and you kind of swim a little bit back up to behold everything that's happening. You notice the sisters start swarming around you, and their faces kind of move towards you. And you see their hands reaching out, not grabbing you, but kind of like testing the water around you. Um, and one of them looks at you basically, and she runs her finger down her face, and then she points at your chest.
And Grayson's just looks at them and it's just like, I don't know what I don't know what you want. And like they're treading water and it's just like
One of the ones that's able to speak, she says, what did you see? And she says, what do you see? What do you see? And she starts motioning towards like your chest where you have the heart wrapped up.
yeah, I think that Grayson says, I saw a way to fix the wound.
And They nod. They don't seem to understand you completely, but they understand your meaning enough that they nod, and they wait for Harper and Echo basically to pull the body into the water.
Mhm.
And at this point, they grab you guys and they want to pull you along basically to get you back to Lima as quickly as possible. I'm assuming you let it happen. Cool. And obviously one of them grabs the hag as well, so you don't have to like pull that along the entire time. Because we're about to wrap up, shall we just really quickly wait for David though? Because it's a bit of a shame to. Cool. Oh, he's back. Hello. You are being pulled back to Lehman, David, or sorry, Harper. You all are. You guys are brought back to Lehman, and the same procedure as last time happens. So you're brought into where he's sitting with the corpse. All the roots form around you, and then the water drains out, so you're actually able to talk. He actually gets off his like mess of roots and crawls over to where the hag is to inspect her body. And he basically he takes her head and he turns her head to the ground. And he just like runs his hands over the back of her head and hisses. And basically he goes and he sits back on his throne, or mess of his throne. He when you all swam in, he seemed very agitated, or at least like very alert, especially to what Grayson had with them. And he says, what have you seen? Oh, you're muted.
Okay, so I think Grayson steps forward and they like untie their scarf, and the heart is still like wrapped in the scarf, but like it's like being held in the scarf. And they go over and they like sort of just hold it out to Lehman, and they're just like, when you are ready to bury your dead, you should be buried whole. And they pass over the heart.
All right. He takes the heart, and he looks at you, and he says, "It is of me." And he reaches his hand out, and he basically he touches your face, and he puts his face forward towards you.
Oh, okay. Grayson's very still. Very, very still.
Okay. All right. So you don't move. He at this point he actually takes your arm, and he puts your hand over his face.
Okay.
And he basically nods at you when it's done. Okay. And he doesn't say thank you, but he does look at all of you, and he says he actually turns to you, Harper. Sorry, Echo, and he says, "You did what you said you would do."
Yeah, we tried to do what we could.
He nods, and he says, "Perhaps all with two legs are not the same."
And I just kind of like look at the other two, and I'm like, "No, we are not all the same."
Cool. In this case, you are invited to spend some time with the merfolk if you all wish to. Basically, they offer you hospitality. What you quickly realize is they don't have words for please or thank you. Everything is kind of shown in these motions. But yeah, that is actually, I believe you're all playing in the next session, right? Yeah, okay, no. In that case, that is all for this session. Thank you all so much for playing. I am going to go off live now. Thank everyone for watching. I'll see you in the next one.